You're watching the Lawrence Television Network. I'm Jay Wachs, and we are live at Schmooza Palooza at the Orient Hotel. And our dear friend Sue Hack is with us from Leadership Lawrence and the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce. Worn so many hats, former mayor, former teacher.
Recent grandmother. I'm just saying.
I know. I have to tell you. So we have a baby Hack
Yes, we do.
in the family.
In Austin,
Congratulations.
Texas. Thank you.
Yeah, what a great place to have a child.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
We're excited. We're
Excellent.
excited.
So, why Lawrence, Kansas? What is your passion? What is this love affair that you have? Why?
That's a good question. You know, when I think
I
about
get the tough one out of the
That's
way
right,
first.
that's right. Well, came to KU, and never in my wildest dreams did I think that I would remain in Lawrence, Kansas. I certainly wouldn't be engaged at the level I've had the good fortune to be engaged in this community. So there's something about this town. It's hard to put a finger on it. I think part of it's the Midwest, which I think there's so much good in the Midwest. I love the fact that the university, the fact that there's so many opportunities for people to do a multitude of activities that are connected with the university and with the community in terms of community theater, arts. The other thing that is just pretty powerful is how engaged people are in helping others. This is not a community where very many requests go unanswered. And it doesn't mean that everything is easy for folks. It doesn't mean that all problems are solved.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
Magical Lawrence, Kansas.
Right.
But if someone puts a call out, and we've got so many families that haven't been adopted, I'll be darned if they don't figure it out.
Right.
Or we need Thanksgiving dinners at Just Food. Or please help us. The children at Kennedy need socks and hats and gloves. And boom, people
You're just not kidding.
do it.
That's exactly
and,
right.
And that is what is magical about this community. It's a pretty magical
How do you
place.
think that evolved? What was the impetus for that? Where did it begin?
Well, I think we've had some amazing people. I think about Tensie and Charlie Oldfine, who started the Community Foundation.
Yes.
I think of Jesse Branson and Dr. Branson and my in-laws, Al and Julie Hack, and the folks that they were with when they first came here right after World War II. I think they just set that standard.
And then passed it from generation to generation.
I mean, I grew up in a family that gave back. My mom and dad were very involved. Al and I wouldn't think of doing it any other way. And we're passing that to our children, but I think we also we try to lead by example, and I know that that's what our parents and their parents and others down the line did. So there have been a lot of those people involved.
So you spent time as a school teacher. How many years did you teach?
34.
34 years here in Lawrence. A
2
portion
years,
of it.
Yes, 32 here, 2 in St. Louis.
Okay. And did you find that your skill set as a teacher made it a natural for you to transition into leadership training?
I think so. That's what I love about what I get to do now because I'm still teaching. Teaching really is my calling. I mean, we were talking about that this morning at a breakfast meeting, and people saying, "Oh, I don't know how you teach particular squirrely little junior high kids." They just were delightful to me. And
See, I always
knew-
loved the 7th
They're
graders.
hilarious.
Nobody wanted to
No,
touch
they're
them.
hilarious.
They are.
I spoke to some 7th graders at South Middle School this week about what
Okay.
it's like to be mayor, and I thought, oh yeah, this brings back memories.
Yes.
And it's just like, oh, could you? Okay, wait, oh no, up here, all
Right,
this kind of
right,
stuff, just
right.
focus. But they're just delightful. They're so fun.
A prime example of that is something that I'm involved in, and I know you have been too, Reality University, which is
Yes.
coming up next week.
Yes.
And I'll be at Lawrence High School for one of the sessions. What do you think that means to these kids having to come through and really learn about
Reality.
what happens from the time the money gets into your wallet
Yes,
until it
yes,
leaves?
Yes, I used to do a tiny version of that when I taught 9th grade because this wasn't available, but we did a career unit and we also did an economic development, and we talked about things like checking accounts and making good career choices and filling out resumes and all of that kind of stuff. And it is reality for them. This has expanded it so much. It's so well done, and I think it's eye-opening for kids. One of the most interesting things, I remember a young teacher that I worked with, she had kids who wanted to be the NBA players and the NFL players. She said, great, shoot for that. But what steps do you have to take? Like middle school, high school, college, and you have to do well enough to make it to that next. You're not going to be playing hoops in 6th grade and have somebody like Bill Self pluck you out.
Unless you're LeBron James.
Well,
I mean, that's a whole
be.
other matter.
Well,
right.
that's where your heart is. I understand.
That's right.
But I thought that was just pretty neat to say, okay, let's go with that.
Yeah.
But how are you going to get there?
And it's the economic reality of life. And that's also a skill set that you reinforce in the Leadership Lawrence curriculum, is how the money moves throughout the community.
Yes. We do a simulation on Economic Development Day where you pay bills and you buy things, and the first round is just pretty much exchanging money, and then darn, taxes go out and people shop online or go to the Legends, and money comes out of the community, and you do that several times, and you realize that without the infusion of economic development dollars from companies that are expanding or starting here, or you're bringing somebody in from the outside, that pool of money continues to shrink, and then Lawrence isn't that community that we're talking about when we started the interview.
So Leadership Lawrence continues, and
Yes.
next Thursday is Arts Day.
Right.
And what does that entail?
Well, we'll start out at the Cider Gallery, and they're going to do a leadership simulation which talks about a community issue where they're going to have to figure out the different factions in the community and how they're going to work together.
Well, that is just a
Which
beautiful
becomes a bit of a
facility.
challenge when they realize, oh, we have to work together in order to get to this. So it's a great thing. And then they'll do some tours. We'll go back to Theater Lawrence. We've got some Native American folks, dancers from Haskell, are going to come talk about what that dance means.
Okay.
We'll be listening to music in different forms. Patrick Kelly, you'll never listen to music again once you've been through that. Visual scanning with some of the artwork at Theater Lawrence. We're going to have theater productions. So there's just some really neat opportunities. And then learning about the economic development benefits of art. How much money comes into this community because of the massive number of art venues and opportunities for artists in the community. So,
And every day has a different theme.
Yes.
You get together once a month.
Right. We've done Education Day so far, and this is Arts Day, and then our next is Social Services Day, and then we go through the spring of government, civic responsibility, economic development, communication. So it's fun. We had a great blast. They are delightful to be around, very enthusiastic. In fact, if I can just kind of keep a lid on them every once in a while and get something said, it's a bonus, because they're having a great time.
Now, you've just been through another transition with the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce, and you have a new CEO.
Yes, we do.
Our friend Larry McElwain from Warren McElwain Mortuary, and what is his career number 3 for Larry? Right.
Yes.
So what has Larry brought to the table, in your opinion?
Well, how much time do we have? Because
We
you want me to
be here all day.
Okay.
Yeah. Larry's giving me a 50 by
Yeah.
More.
I am so impressed with how he has come into the chamber, and first of all, his appreciation for staff and all the work that the folks there continue to do, regardless of what the transitions have been, and there have been several over the last 10 years. But Larry's commitment to this community, his appreciation for the unusual voices, and his feeling is that, honestly, there are people in this community that feel that they've never been listened to. We have not respected people enough to listen to them. And I'm not so sure that's not correct. And when you have that happen, then you have a map that we saw on the front page of the Journal World.
Yes, we did.
And we've got to do something about that. And we've got to be, we were in Wichita this last week on some leadership training at the Leadership Center, and we talked about being vulnerable. And those two groups have to be vulnerable enough to accept that they're not doing everything right, and we have to be able to listen to each other.
What, if you can, what do you think is the source of the divide between the west of Castle Group and the east of Castle Group? Is it an economic issue? Is it the Rock Chalk Sports Park issue? Or is it just a multitude of issues?
I think it's a multitude. I think there's a feeling among some that decisions are made based on who's giving you enough money to make the deal work, which is not accurate. But if that's somebody's perception, if that's the interpretation that they have, that is their valid view, and we've got to be aware of that and see what we can do to develop more trust. I think it's a question of trust. I think that there are folks in this community that are unhappy with the direction of growth in our community. That we've changed, and I would say it's probably more the issue of change than it is the issue of growth. But regardless of what the concerns are, there's so many things we have in common. We're mothers or fathers, sisters or brothers. We're grandparents. Some of us are dealing with aging parents. Some of us have children in preschool.
Right.
We all have those. When you peel off the layers, there's so many things we believe in that are similar in this community, and we've got to find that common ground. Because we can't go on with a community that we love, and I can't debate that they love
Right.
the community anymore than we love the community, because the they and the we has to stop.
Yes, it does.
It has to stop.
Why do you think that voter turnout was so low, given just how important the magnitude of the election?
I don't know.
I was shocked.
I thought we'd just blow the doors off.
So did
in
I.
terms of numbers. But I just don't know. And maybe it's a feeling that, I give up. I don't have any control over this. That's mine.
Or I
What?
personally can't make a difference.
Yeah.
Right.
One vote doesn't count. And I have to think that part of it is the tone of so much. I'm being the state and the national level. The tone of so much of that was so awful
Yes.
that I think people are disgusted with it. And therefore, our local elections suffered because of it,
Sure.
statewide and national. And I just think it was just horrendous.
But is it possible for one individual to make a difference at home and then be that first pebble in the pond?
If you believe otherwise, I'll give up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what several of us talked about on Wednesday. Okay, we may or may not have been happy with the results. Some yes, some no, and that's the way it is. But the only thing you can continue to do is make a difference in those things that you care about. My husband's on the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes.
So we're working on projects with them, and you have to continue to do that. Do you throw your hands up in the air and say, oh, all is lost? No. You go over to the teen center and you look at those kids and you go to reality and you help the children at Lawrence High and you bake cookies for so-and-so and you do that stuff and you support Willow.
Right.
And you go to these events because that's all you can do.
All for the sake of your community.
All for your community, because that's where it counts.
Sue, thanks for being with us. Sue Hack, the Director of Leadership Lawrence and a member of the Lawrence Chamber of Commerce. And we'll be back with more from Schmooza Palooza live from the Orient on LawrenceTV.tv.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
Sorry about the delay. What happened?